Hello everyone, I am Gigastro, a being that exists and talks. So let us talk. Oh, also it's Isekai Joe at the background there. He will showcase his Isekai journey in Coloradia while I talk gibberish. So, I enjoy Isekai. It's like the fast food of the fantasy genre. I know that quality-wise most of them are mediocre, but I can't help but enjoy them. Now, when I say I like Isekai, I don't mean that I love all Isekai. I enjoy most of the ones I watched because I look for specific things in a work of fiction and focus on that. But that aside, let's talk about Isekai further. What is an Isekai? I had a discussion with a good friend of mine about what an Isekai is. To be fair, both of us are biased towards the two extremes of either liking Isekai or absolutely despising it. So we get to talk about it, and at one point I proposed the idea that Isekai is sort of like a subgenre of the fantasy genre, and that it focuses a lot more on the concept of escapism as the story is told through the eyes of someone that literally escaped into this new world, which I believe possess a certain degree of closeness to the reader, with the MC being from our real-world equivalent. He then replied with a question that turned the gears in my brain. What does an Isekai provide for the fantasy genre? What makes a story an Isekai story? What differentiates the genre from just regular fantasy if the story takes place in a fantasy world, and only in that world? At first, I'm quite confused as to how to answer this, because I believe that what he's saying is true. Most of Isekai stories always got their main character stuck in this new world, so if the story is about this new world, why not just write a fantasy story? Is the Isekai part really necessary? Of course, me not being a very cultured individual, and not as well read as he is, does experience a strange feeling of doubt, and maybe I'm just being dumb about this. I didn't give up, however, and try to at least defend the genre I both love and hate. Like a narcissistic form of imposter syndrome. Am I just talking out of my ass? Do I really know what I'm talking about? No. The emotions I feel is real, and my feeling remains despite it coming into question. So I try to articulate myself in a way that I find satisfying and accurate enough to voice my thoughts about the matter. And now I'm here to share it with all of you as well, because talking about the things I love is fun. So here we go. Let's enjoy this totally original example of an Isekai story. Isekai Joe. He was once a hairdresser in the cities, but he was fired due to his personal preferences and got hit by a truck as he was walking home dejected. He now has another chance at living. Coloradia, a land of opportunities. Perhaps now, Isekai Joe will find those that appreciate his hairstyle choices. Let us look over him as he carves his name upon the Coloradian history. Alright, so what makes a story an Isekai is the perspective. As I said before, the story is given through the eyes of someone from a different world than the world setting. And usually, these main characters comes from our real-life equivalent. However, they aren't limited to come from our world. The point here is that Isekai has a unique kind of perspective that no other form of fantasy can provide. Now, several things comes to mind. Perhaps there are other fantasy stories that fits the previous classification, but we don't call them Isekai, no? Isekai is a term that came out of the, Japanese literature works, web novels, light novels, and anime too. It's a relatively recent term to describe a story where the MC goes to another world. Now, the details of each story may differ, and the only thing that makes an isekai is the fact that the MC, or the main character, is from another world. That's it. In this case, it's quite fair to say that Isekai can't really stand by itself as a genre of itself, and it can barely be recognized as a subgenre. I believe that it does stand as a subgenre. The main point of an Isekai is the theme of exploring another world, meaning that the MC must come from a world first and then go to the other world. Any world. Want a fantasy Isekai? It's all there. Look at all those animes, Isekai animes with fantasy worlds. How about a sci-fi Isekai? Why the fuck not? The point is, again, another world. What makes it different is that the main character has an origin from outside of the world setting. It's that simple. If it's just a story in a fantasy world, it's a fantasy story. Unless clarified as such, can it be called an Isekai? So the setting matters too. I mean, we don't exactly count Sword Art Online as an Isekai, do we? We know that the world is a game, so it's not exactly another world, but it is at the same time. So now the lines between Isekai and non-Isekai is blurred. However, it could be the fact is far simpler than that. If a story fulfills the criteria above, which is having main characters coming from another world to the world setting of the story, and thus consider itself as an Isekai, then it's an Isekai. Easy. Now, to get back to the first question of what does an Isekai add to the fantasy genre when it is fantasy, which most of them are. I think I have explained that one clearly. Perspective. The point is that there are Isekai stories out there, and the fact that they exist and have a sizable following justifies its existence as a subgenre in fiction, or a category of fiction, or more like a subgenre of a subgenre in fiction. It is a category for sure. Isekai Joe realized something after a couple of days in Colradia, that he is perfectly normal. No broken powers, no blessings, no nothing. He's just a regular Joe that got isekai'd, hence Isekai Joe. Oh no, he laments. This is not the Isekai I know and love. It's a realistic Isekai? The journey ahead seems harsh, but at least it won't be a boring power trip like most Isekai. Can he even find a partner in this world, much less a harem? Who knows? Perhaps Isekai Joe can redeem his fault on Earth here in this relatively pristine world of war and swords and shitty living standards. Go forth, Isekai Joe. May your suffering serve as entertainment for the rest of us. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I actually planned for an entire hour video or something like that about Isekai, but I really want to save that for when I have learned how to edit better. So I hope this video will suffice for now, and I hope you are willing to tag along my journey towards that peak as a content creator. What do you think? Got your own thoughts to share? Feel free to let me know in the comment section. If I made a mistake, God knows I need to be corrected. And I intended this video to be a sort of discussion instead of simply, you know, me dictating what's true or not to you, despite how patronizing I might sound earlier. But yeah, that has been a video about Isekai that I promised. Not exactly the one I promised, but anyway. Thank you so much for watching and for your time. I hope to see you in my next video or live stream. I live stream every day. Well, not every day, every week or so. But yeah, I'll list the links, everything if you want to contact me in the description, and I hope to see you again next time.